Hey, welcome back to Colorado and Company. See, you can tell we're all having a good time. They work inside some of the largest and most powerful businesses operating today, such as Ford Motor Company, PepsiCo, Newmont Mining, and Level 3 Communications. Now they're sharing their knowledge and insight on how every team can be an exceptional team in their new book, It's the Loyalist. For all four authors are here today. We're lucky to have Linda, Audrey, Abby, and Rebecca. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm so excited. I'm holding this book. It has so much powerful information. Linda, let's talk about your background first.
So I think we like to, I know I like to style myself as a recovering HR professional. I've been in HR my whole life, as have my colleagues. We've worked in some of the largest companies in the world in HR functions. And we left that background 10 years ago now, where we formed the Trispective Group to do this work with leaders, with teams, with organizations, and just building great team environments and really helping people realize the potential that they have within their organizations.
I've always said, boy, being HR, it has to be the most difficult job ever because you hear everybody and everything. Audrey, what inspired you to write the book?
Well, we know that across the world, every day in large companies and mom and pop shops and startups, in government, in sports, work happens on teams. And yet in the thousands of teams that we've worked on, we know oftentimes they're not working at their best. There's mistrust, there's competing priorities and agendas, and people are stymied with what to do and how to fix it. We believe everyone deserves a great team, and we wrote this book because we want to help anyone who's on a team or leads a team to understand the predictable behaviors of high-performing teams and how to get there.
And my goodness, if somebody doesn't trust others in their own team, that's where insecurities lie and can create horrible things. Abby, you titled the book The Loyalist Team.
The Loyalist.
Loyalist, excuse me.
Yes.
Now, why did you decide to come up with that title? What does it mean?
So the reason that we chose the title The Loyalist Team is we, for many years, have used and researched a model of teams. And we chose Loyalist Team because for us, that is the ultimate best team. Many of us have been on teams that don't work. Many of us have been on teams that are phenomenal, extraordinary teams. And the things that characterize a loyalist team, such as having each other's back, such as having complete trust, such as really embracing shared goals, wanting to see each other succeed, wanting to see the company, the team, the goals become a reality, is a loyalist.
Okay, so that's one of the best teams.
That's the best team.
What
yes.
are the different types of teams that we're talking about?
Great. So we look across 4 teams. So there's the Loyalist team, and then there's what we put on the very other end of that, the Saboteur team. And the Saboteur team is the team where no one trusts one another. There's a lot of undermining and backstabbing. There's 2 other teams that are, we call them a little bit more passive teams. One of them we call benign saboteur. That team is the one where people stay in silos. They kind of stay in their lane, don't really interact with others as much as they can to create some value for the organization. And then the 4th is what we call the situational loyalist. And the situational loyalist team is one where people are loyalists to some, but not all.
Okay, interesting. Now, I want to go back to what Abby said about the saboteur. Talk about, Linda, what do you do if you find yourself, if you're on that team? Because, my gosh, I'm thinking to myself, everybody has had a toxic relationship like that at one point in their life.
So I think everyone knows what that feels like. To your point, everyone's had that relationship. And I think the first thing I would ask for you to think about is how are you contributing or not to the nature of that relationship? Are you perhaps the person who's showing up as a saboteur? And really start to think about what are the best behaviors. How can I be my best self? And how can I start to change the equation that happens in our relationship by showing up in the best way to you? And I think having that honest conversation about, Denise, things are just not where we want them to be and not where we both need they should be, and they should be, and really intentionally and in a very authentic way leaning into the conversation. It takes courage, But if you don't start to change the environment, it's not going to change.
Okay, we have a couple minutes left, so we got to move along here. Rebecca, what's the best way to diagnose what type of team you're on?
So diagnosing your team is so important, and it's something that most leaders overlook. And it's important because you need to know your starting point. And we have several options. In the book, we have a checklist that's really helpful to understand which behaviors to look for. That same checklist is free online. We have an online app called Team Snapshot that gives you a diagnosis through answering some questions. And you can also just observe your team and watch for certain behaviors. Yes. Do people trust each other? Do they have good conflict? Do they support each other? Or do they undermine each other? So just really taking the time to understand your starting point is so important.
Audrey, I think this book is so valuable for business managers. Don't you think so?
I absolutely do.
And owners, too.
We work with business leaders every single day who think, how do I create this high-performing team? My business is dependent on it. And yet we know that sometimes the soft side of the business can be the hardest part. And so for us, we believe that there are predictable patterns in high-performing teams, and there are clear methods and tools that you can use to create a team that actually delivers your business results. And that's what we put in the book, advice for anyone who leads a team.
And it's all in the Loyalist team. I don't know why I can't say that today. Quickly, when is this book available? I know you have a book signing.
We do, on Tuesday evening at Tattered Cover in downtown. So very excited about that, 7 o'clock. We hope everyone will show up. But the book is available at outlets, online and in retailers September 12th.
I had a chance to read this book. I'm telling you, it's so valuable. Every business owner, every manager should pick it up. And even if you're a mom at home, this kind of helps you run the household too.
Absolutely.
Abby, you know that. You're like managing everything in the air with kids. What's the best piece of advice that you can give somebody? We have 10 seconds left.
Best piece of advice is show up as you. Be authentic, be bold, be who you are.
Good advice. Thank you, ladies. I really, really appreciate it. Again, the Loyalist team will be available online from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and IndieBound starting Tuesday, September 12th. You can also meet the ladies behind the book and get your signed copy Tuesday at Tattered Cover in Lodo. It's starting at 7 p.m. If you would like to know what team you're on, well, listen, you can take this free online assessment. Go to loyalistteam.com.